She had no home, no family, no one to love or care for her. Just an old banana seller surviving under a bridge. He had it all: power, fame, wealth, but no one to call mother. Until one shocking moment at a garbage dump changed everything. What happened next will move you to tears and remind you that destiny never forgets. Before we begin, please like, comment, and subscribe for more powerful African stories full of twists, emotion, and redemption. Let's dive in. Sarah was 60, but life had aged her far beyond her years. Her back bent, her eyes sunken, her voice barely audible. She was just a shadow moving through the bustling city of Enugu. Unnoticed, uncelebrated, unloved. Every morning before the sun peeked over the rooftops, Sarah was already awake. She didn't wake in a bed. There was no mattress, no pillow, not even a mat. Just the cold, unyielding concrete beneath the bridge at mile 2. Her home. She folded the ragged wrapper she used as a blanket, brushing dust off her threadbare gown. Once white, now permanently brown with stains. Her slippers were too different a colors, barely hanging on. Yet she wore them with quiet dignity. She always did. Around her, other homeless people stirred. Young men smoking early morning wraps. Girls who laughed too loud and hid too much pain. Small children begging for sachets of water. But Sarah was different. They called her Mama Bridge, not out of affection, just recognition. She had no tribe here, no kin, no one came looking for her. "Oh, Mama no day die," one of the boys once joked. Sarah had smiled faintly, eyes focused on the rising sun. If only they knew. Once upon a time, she had held a baby boy in her arms, a child she named Agu, after strength, because he was all she had left when the world broke her. But that was a lifetime ago. Now she hawked bananas on the streets of Enugu to survive. She never begged. People often asked, "Mama, you no get pickin'. Where your husband? Now who leave you like this?" She would answer with silence. Sometimes she'd whisper, "God is enough," and walk away. Inside, she wanted to scream. That she once had a life. That she once had love. That she once had a son. But what was the point? No one cared about a story too old to trend. Sarah moved through each day like wind over broken glass. She wasn't bitter, just tired. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, a different life unfolded. Chief Agu Okiki was on the cover of every business magazine that month. The tech giant of Nigeria. From orphan to billionaire. Africa's own Steve Jobs. At 39, Agui had built Nova Tech Systems from a tiny room in Nsukka into one of Africa's biggest tech empires. Software, AI, cybersecurity. If it ran on code, he had touched it. His mansion in Independence layout was guarded by 8 men. His fleet of cars, all custom. His assistants, 4 of them, each trained to handle crises that never even made the news. But beyond the glittering boardrooms and glowing headlines was a man still haunted by a question he could never shake. Who is my mother? Agu had grown up in All Saints Orphanage, Enugu. They told him his mother died in an accident when he was a baby. No relatives, no trace. He had tried to search before, but the trail was cold. The only name he had was Sarah Naji, written on a worn piece of cloth he was wrapped in as a baby. Every year on his birthday, he lit a candle in her memory, and every Mother's Day, he donated millions to elderly homes, built clinics for widows, and personally visited hospitals to fund women's surgeries. He once told his board members during a live interview, "If I ever find my mother, she'll never have to lift a finger again. She'll live like royalty." Yet despite the jets, the accolades, the global awards, something was missing. In the deepest corners of his heart, he longed for something money could never buy. A mother's arms. Back under the bridge, Sarah watched a small girl dance barefoot in the dust. Her laughter reminded her of Agu's first steps, how he used to chase butterflies in the village, how he used to cling to her wrapper. She shook the memory off and stood up slowly, bones creaking. It was time to hawk. With her rusted wheelbarrow half filled with the bananas, she pushed out onto the road, merging into the noise of Enugu's rush hour traffic. 2 lives, 1 city, a mother with no child, a son with no mother, and fate, watching quietly, ready to collide their worlds in a way neither could ever imagine. The sun was already high in the sky when Sarah reached the edge of Ogbeti Market. Her bones ached from the previous day, but she didn't slow down. With both hands gripping the handles of her squeaky wheelbarrow, she pushed forward, each step a silent battle. Her wheelbarrow held 2 bunches of ripe bananas, slightly spotted but still sweet. She had picked them from a trader who pitied her that morning. In return, she promised to pay back half the money after sales. It wasn't a business. It was survival. Banana for your children, oh. Fine banana, sweet, well. Madam, take 'em cheap. No be for money, nah for hunger. She cried out in Igbo and broken pidgin as she weaved between Okada riders, market women, and restless buyers. Many ignored her. Some brushed past without a glance. A well-dressed woman wrinkled her nose as Sarah passed. Chai, old age they suffer, the woman muttered, adjusting her designer bag. Sarah heard it. She always did. But she kept walking, pushing, calling, and children pointed at her sometimes. Traders asked in whispers, "Who leave this kind old woman like this? She no get peekin'. No even one-way fit rent room for AM?" She never answered. She had once loved a man, a bricklayer with kind eyes. He promised her a future, but fate stole him before their son's first birthday. Then the accident happened. The coma, the hospital. When she woke up, her baby was gone. They said he died. She screamed, she wailed, she prayed, but no one brought her child back. That child, Agu, had been her entire world. And when the world took him, she stopped hoping. Now she sold bananas, not because they brought her joy, but because they bought her bread. Sometimes. Miles away in a high-rise glass tower overlooking Enugu's skyline, Chief Agu was sealing yet another multi-million-dollar deal. He stood in a sleek conference room at Novatech Systems HQ, commanding the attention of foreign investors and Nigerian tech experts alike. His voice was calm, calculated. Our algorithm now processes data 40% faster. We've integrated machine learning to predict security breaches before they happen. Gentlemen, you're looking at the future of African cybersecurity. Applause followed. The German investor nodded. You have built something remarkable, Chief Agu. Agu smiled slightly but didn't dwell in it. He thanked them, shook hands, then stepped aside as his assistants finalized logistics. His mind wasn't on the deal. It hadn't been for weeks. He had just returned from a tech conference in South Africa where a speaker mentioned her mother's sacrifice during childhood. She had cried while speaking, a grown woman sobbing over a mother who sold corn to pay her school fees. Agu had clapped with everyone else, but inside he had felt an ache, sharp and sudden. Who cried for my mother, he had wondered. Did she suffer like that too? All he had of his mother was a name, Sarah Naji. No photo, no grave, just a name the orphanage nurse mentioned once when he was a child. She had whispered it like a secret, quickly changing the subject. So he worked harder, grew richer, helped more women. But nothing filled the void. That day, after the investors left, Agu called his driver. Let's take the back route through Ogbete. I want to pass the market. Yes, sir. His driver raised an eyebrow. Agu rarely passed through local routes, but he didn't question. That was one thing about Chief Agu. He was unpredictable, but always precise. Back at the market, Sarah finally managed to sell half of her bananas. She had earned just 1,200 naira, not enough for rent, food, and repayment. But she was grateful. She sat by a gutter and opened a sachet of water. Her knees throbbed. Her throat was dry. She hadn't eaten since morning. A young girl passed, holding gala and malt. Sarah's stomach grumbled. She looked away. Just then a boy not older than 16 threw a plantain peel into the gutter beside her. Some splashed on her wrapper. He didn't apologize. She didn't complain. She had learned to be invisible. Suddenly, a black Range Rover SUV slowed beside the gutter. No one noticed at first. Big cars were normal in that part of town. Politicians, pastors, and police drove by all the time. But this one stopped. Sarah looked up, squinting against the sun. The tinted window lowered slowly. Her heart skipped. The man in the car, something about his face, he looked familiar. But she dismissed the thought. Rich men didn't know women like her. Inside the car, Agu's eyes landed on her, just for a second. He didn't know why, but something about her posture, her spirit, struck him. She reminded him of the dream he used to have as a child, of a woman in white, bending over a crib, singing an Igbo lullaby. He blinked. "Are you okay, sir?" the driver asked. Agu didn't answer, not yet. That day would pass like every other. Sarah would return under the bridge. She would eat gari soaked in tears. And Agu, he would return to his mansion and lie awake at 2 a.m. 1 a.m. wondering once again, is my mother truly gone? Little did either of them know. Destiny was already shifting the wind. Their paths, a world apart, were slowly turning, aligning, and moving toward a collision that would rewrite everything. Sarah woke before dawn, but something was different. Her bones didn't just ache, they burned. A strange heat crawled through her chest and her breath came in shallow gasps. She reached for her wrapper and wiped her forehead. It was drenched in sweat. Her tongue felt like sandpaper. Her lips were cracked. Her throat dry as harmattan wind. She tried to sit up beneath the bridge where she had slept for the past few nights, but her head spun and the world blurred for a moment. Still, she forced herself up. "I have to hawk today," she muttered. "No money, no food." She reached for her wheelbarrow. It was empty. She had sold her last banana the previous afternoon. There was nothing left. She limped toward the edge of the bridge, her joints trembling under her. The sun had not yet risen, and the streetlights flickered above like tired sentinels. From a nearby gutter, smoke from roasted corn mixed with the sharp scent of urine and petrol. She ignored it. Her focus was survival. At the junction where she usually bought bananas to resell, the fruit trader, Madam Chica, noticed her wobbling in. "Mama Bridge, your eyes dawn red. You day okay?" Sarah tried to smile. "I be small sick. Just need small banana. I go sell and bring your money later." Madam Chica hesitated, then shook her head. "Mama, your hand they shake. You day run temperature. Go rest. No banana for you today." Sarah's lips quivered. Her legs buckled. She nearly fell. "Please," she whispered. "I never chop since yesterday." Madam Chica sighed and reached into a cooler, pulling out a sachet of water. She handed it to Sarah. "I no get banana for credit, but take this. Go buy medicine. You fit die outside." Sarah took the sachet gratefully and drank every drop. Her hands still trembled. Her vision blurred. She turned and began the slow walk toward the small chemist shop by the roadside. The pharmacy wasn't fancy, just a small wooden kiosk with faded drug posters peeling off the walls. A young man sat inside with earpiece cords dangling from his ears, scrolling through his phone. When Sarah arrived, she leaned against the wooden frame. "Doctor, I beg, I get fever. Body day hot. I no get much money." The young man looked her over and rolled his eyes. "Old woman, I no be Dr. O. Just pharmacy attendant. Please, just give me anything. Small medicine. My head day turn." He pointed at a shelf. "You get how much?" Sarah brought out a small black nylon and unwrapped it slowly. Inside was a bundle of crumpled notes, the last of her savings. 900 naira. "This all I get." The boy sneered. "You day run temperature like pepper soup, and to this kind money you bring." Still he stood and brought out 3 small packs, 2 sachets of paracetamol and a bitter herbal syrup for fever and body pain. "This one go work, but you no suppose day waka like this." Sarah nodded, barely able to speak. Her knees shook again. "Thank you. God bless you." He didn't reply. She left the shop, clutching the small nylon bag like it held treasure. But she had spent all she had, and she was still hungry. Back under the bridge, Sarah took the medicine with another sachet of water, then lay on a carton that served as her bed. She wrapped herself in her faded wrapper and prayed softly. "God, I no ask for mansion. I no ask for car. Just strength. Just one more day." She coughed, a dry, rattling sound. Her throat was sore, her eyes were heavy. As she drifted off to sleep, she dreamed of her son. In the dream, she was back in the hospital, the one where they told her he had died. She remembered screaming, the nurses holding her down. Her son, gone, just like that. But in the dream, she bumped him, a baby wrapped in a cloth being carried away by a woman in white. She tried to run after him, but her legs wouldn't move. She woke up gasping, her heart pounding. Agu, she whispered. My Agu. Tears slipped down her face. By late afternoon, the medicine had cooled her fever slightly, but not her hunger. Her stomach growled, twisting in pain. She had nothing left. No bananas to sell, no one to borrow from, no strength to hawk, no food to eat. That night she listened as the city buzzed around her. The laughter of young girls nearby, the roar of passing cars, the voices of boys playing loud music under the bridge. And she closed her eyes. If I die tonight, she thought, I hope someone buries me like a human being. I hope I get to see Agu just once. But fate was not yet done. It was only beginning to open a door that would turn Sarah's pain into purpose and bring light to the darkest chapter of her life. Because sometimes, just before the miracle, comes the breaking. And Sarah was at her lowest, but the highest was coming. The next morning arrived without ceremony. No rooster crowed, no warm sun greeted her, only hunger. Sarah lay on her side beneath the concrete bridge, her body curled tightly like a child trying to disappear into itself. Her wrapper barely covered her trembling form. The ache in her stomach had grown sharper. It wasn't just hunger, it was desperation. The sachet water she drank the night before had long vanished from her system. The paracetamol dulled her fever, but now there was nothing to take the edge off the gnawing pain in her belly. She had no money, no bananas to hawk, no strength to work, no one to turn to. Still, Sarah sat up, slowly, carefully. Her vision swam, her legs ached, but her spirit, though battered, refused to completely give up. She looked around at the others under the bridge. A group of teenage boys were playing cards, laughing and throwing crude jokes. Two girls with heavy makeup were brushing their wigs. Life moved on around her, loud, reckless, youthful. But at 60, Sarah had no such luxury. She stood, adjusted her wrapper, and began walking. It wasn't a destination she had planned for. Her feet simply moved on their own. Through the busy side streets of Enugu, past Okada riders, food stalls, and school children in their uniforms. She walked like a ghost among the living. A man bumped into her and shouted, Mama, they look rodna. She nodded weakly and kept going. Minutes passed, then hours. Her stomach howled. The dizziness returned. Her eyes blinked slowly, like shutters struggling to stay open. And then she saw it, the large dump site behind New Life Market. It was a mountain of waste, rotten vegetables, food wrappers, empty bottles, cartons, flies circled the air. The stench struck her like a slap. She froze. This was not a place for humans, but her hunger disagreed. She hesitated near the edge, ashamed, watching from a distance. Then a Chaldea, no older than 6, ran into the dump barefoot and picked out a crushed soft drink bottle, smiling like it was treasure. He ran off with it. That was the final push. Sarah stepped forward. She moved slowly, head down, arms close to her body. She didn't want to be seen. But there's little dignity in desperation. Everything about her screamed helplessness. She stopped near a broken styrofoam tray that once held jollof rice. Now it held bones, pepper sauce, and leftover crumbs. She bent down, her fingers trembling as they reached for a piece of bread crust nearby. A young girl passing by gasped, Jesus, that mad woman they chopped from dustbin. People turned. A mother grabbed her son's hand and whispered, Come away, don't look at her. An Okada man laughed, Na hunger they make people crazed for this country. Sarah heard them, every word. Her cheeks burned with shame. But she didn't stop. She couldn't. She lifted the crust to her mouth. It was dry, sour, but food. Her eyes watered as she chewed. This was not the life she dreamed of, but this was the life she had. She reached for a plastic spoon sticking out of another discarded pack. The food was oily and cold, fried rice mixed with pepper stew and bones. With trembling hands, she scooped a spoonful and brought it to her lips. Then another, and another. Her mind faded away from the present, back to years ago, cooking yam for her son in their tiny one-room house in Nsukka, watching him eat and laugh with oil smeared on his cheeks, bathing him, singing to him, until the accident, until the hospital, until they said he was gone. Her tears mixed with the dirt on her face. A young trader walked by and paused. Mama, why you they do like this? Where your pikin? Sarah didn't look up. I had one. Long ago. So all of una day talk, the girl snapped. Old woman no suppose they chop dustbin. Shame no they catch you. Sarah dropped the spoon and stood slowly. It's not shame that feeds the hungry, she whispered. She turned and walked away, leaving behind the scattered crumbs and laughter. She found a quiet corner behind the wall of the market, sat on a broken crate, and leaned back. Her stomach had stopped growling, but her heart had shattered. She looked up at the sky, dusty and gray. God, are you watching me? She whispered. Am I really still a human being? Tears rolled down her face. She didn't wipe them. She had no more pride left to protect, just memories. A few meters away, unnoticed, a black SUV had slowed down in traffic. The tinted window rolled down slightly. Inside sat a man in an elegant navy blue caftan, watching the scene with narrowed eyes. He had just left a business meeting and was heading for a press interview. But someone caught his attention. An old woman, eating from the trash, then walking away, alone. His heart skipped. He leaned forward. Stop the car. Sir, his driver asked. Stop, now. The SUV eased to a halt. Chief Agu stared hard at the figure now disappearing behind the market wall. He didn't understand why, but something told him that this wasn't just another homeless woman. Something about her walk, the pain in her eyes, pulled at something buried deep in him. A memory, a face, he wasn't sure, but he had to find out. Back behind the market wall, Sarah sat with her eyes closed, praying in silence. She didn't hear the approaching footsteps. She didn't see the convoy pulling up. But within moments, her life was about to change. Not because she prayed, not because she begged, but because fate, cruel, mysterious, and divine, had finally chosen this day to remember her. Chief Agu had seen many things in his life. Poverty, a betrayal, even near death on a business trip to Johannesburg. But nothing prepared him for the sight that froze his heart that bright afternoon in Enugu. He was heading to a televised interview with a popular business media outlet. It was to be broadcast across Africa. The billionaire who beat the odds. Chief Agu's rise from orphan to empire. The road through New Life Market wasn't on their original route, but heavy traffic near the expressway forced the driver to take the back roads. Agu didn't argue. He rarely did when fate changed his direction. But as the SUV crawled through the dusty market corner, his gaze fell on a frail figure crouched behind the wall of the dump site. An old woman, alone, dirty, her clothes torn, her body shaking, her face covered in what looked like shame. She was eating from the trash. Agu's throat tightened. Stop the car, he said quickly. Sir, his driver asked. I said stop. The driver obeyed, confused but silent. Agu rolled down the tinted window and stared harder. The woman had stood now, her back slightly bent, her hands trembling as she tried to dust off her wrapper. A child pointed at her. A woman laughed in disgust, but she ignored them all. There was something painfully dignified about her. She didn't beg. She didn't ask. She simply endured. Who is she? Agu whispered to no one in particular. But in his heart, something strange stirred, a flicker of memory, not from a specific time or place, but from a dream. One he used to have as a boy in the orphanage. A dream where a woman cried over a baby in a hospital, her voice calling a name in Igbo. Agu. He blinked and pushed the door open. The market buzzed as the billionaire stepped out. People turned immediately. His face was too familiar. He was the man on every billboard, every screen, every newspaper headline. Not Chief Agu be that? Omo, see him suit. See what the money they do person. But Agu ignored them all. He walked toward the old woman who was now slowly trying to move away, embarrassed by the attention. Mama, he called gently. She stopped. Her shoulders stiffened, and then she turned around. Their eyes met. She looked up, shielding her eyes from the sun. He looked down, breath caught in his throat. Her face, old, wrinkled, weathered by time and life, yet something in her eyes, tired as they were, reached into him. He stepped closer. Are you okay? He asked softly. Sarah was startled. For a moment, she feared he had come to chase her away. She tried to explain. I, I was hungry, that's all. I didn't want to beg. I'm not mad. Her voice was dry, weak, honest. Agu knelt in front of her. Gasps rippled through the crowd. The billionaire day kneel down. Wait, didn't day happen? Who this woman be? But Agu wasn't hearing them. Do you have family? He asked her, his voice shaking. Sarah hesitated. I had a son many years ago. I named him Agu after his father died, but there was an accident. A car hit us while I was holding him. I went into coma. When I woke up, they told me he died. Agu felt the world pause. Where was this? He asked, heart racing. All Saints Hospital, she said. In Suka, I was young then. He was barely a year old. They said they took him to an orphanage. All Saints Orphanage. Agu staggered to his feet, lightheaded. That's where I grew up. Sarah stared at him now, her eyes wide, confused. What did you say? I was raised in All Saints Orphanage. My name was Agu. They told me my mother died in a car accident. The air between them thickened. The crowd went silent. Sarah dropped her bag, her legs buckled. Your name? Agu? Your mother's name? Sarah? He nodded. Sarah Naji. Sarah let out a cry, not of pain, not of fear, but of something that cannot be named. The sound of a soul awakening. I am Sarah Naji. Agu stepped closer. She reached for his face with trembling hands. Let me touch you. Let me see if you're real. Her fingers brushed his cheek. A scar, she whispered. You had a scar on your chin when you fell from the table. Agu's eyes welled up. I still have it. She burst into tears. My son, my Agu, is it you? Is it truly you? Agu couldn't speak. His voice broke. He dropped to his knees again and wrapped his arms around her. Mama, I found you. The crowd erupted. Cheers, gasps, applause. Some cried, some clapped. Someone recorded everything. But the noise didn't matter. For Sarah and Agu, the world had disappeared. It was just mother and son. Reunited after nearly 4 decades of pain, loss, and silence. Agu didn't waste a second. He helped her into the car himself. Cancel the interview, he told his assistant. Tell the world this is more important. As the SUV sped toward his mansion, Sarah sat in awe, her eyes wide at the interior. Leather seats, cold air conditioning, bottled water. This is your car? She asked. One of many, Agu replied with a smile, but you're more valuable than all of them. At the gate of his home, security guards nearly dropped their radios when they saw him help down the frail woman. Get her the guest suite, no, the gold room, and call my doctor, now. He turned to Sarah, holding her hand tightly. Mama, from today you'll never suffer again. Sarah looked around the massive compound, fountains, flowers, marble floors. I slept under a bridge last night, she whispered. You'll never sleep outside again, he said firmly. Later that night, after the doctor checked her vitals and confirmed she needed rest and nourishment, Agu sat beside her and held her hand. I still can't believe it, he whispered. All this time, we were so close. Sarah smiled weakly. I used to pray just to see you one more time before I die. I thought heaven forgot me. Agu looked at her with misty eyes. Heaven didn't forget. It just waited for the right moment. Then he paused. Mama, I want us to do a DNA test, just to be sure. I believe you, but I need proof for the world, for both of us. She nodded. Anything you want. I already know the truth, but I'll wait for the proof with you. He squeezed her hand. Rest now. Tomorrow begins a new life. And as Sarah closed her eyes that night in a warm, clean bed, beneath a roof made of marble and love, she whispered, Thank you, God. You remembered me after all. Sarah stood by the window of the guest suite, watching the morning sun spill golden light across Chief Agu's manicured garden. It felt like a dream. The rose bushes, the marble floor, the scent of fresh air. For years she had lived under bridges, hawking bananas just to survive. Now she woke up with silk sheets, hot tea, and a son beside her. A son. She still couldn't say it out loud without her chest tightening. Mama, Agu's voice called gently as he stepped into the room. You slept well? She turned, smiling. Like a queen, she said softly. Like someone God remembered after everyone else forgot. He smiled and walked over to sit beside her. Mama, I've made arrangements for a DNA test. It's not because I doubt you. I believe you with all my heart. But the world may ask questions. I want the truth to be written down. For you, for me, for history. Sarah nodded. She understood. Do whatever you must. I'm not afraid. I carried you in my womb. No test can change that. Later that afternoon, Agu's private physician arrived at the mansion, accompanied by two lab technicians. The drawing room was transformed into a quiet testing space. The team spoke respectfully, almost reverently, as though they too knew something sacred was taking place. Swabs were taken from both mother and son, inside the cheeks, a few drops of blood, and sealed in sterilized containers. Results in 72 hours, the doctor promised. As they left, Sarah exhaled deeply. 3 days, she said almost to herself. After waiting 39 years, what's 3 more days? Agu squeezed her hand. I'll wait with you. Those 3 days were the most peaceful Sarah had ever known. Every morning, Agu took breakfast with her under the shade of the bougainvillea in the courtyard. She told him stories of his father, a soft-spoken bricklayer with dreams too big for his humble hands. He used to hum while working, she recalled. He'd hold you up and say, this one, he go change the world. And look at you now. Agu was quiet for a while before whispering, I wish he could see me today. He does, she replied, from heaven. Each night they sat in the cinema room watching old Nollywood films. She would laugh at dramatic scenes and he would laugh at her laughter. She wore gowns he bought her, ate meals she could barely pronounce, and slept like royalty. But at dawn, she still woke up weeping softly into her pillow. Years of pain don't vanish overnight. On the third evening, as the sky turned purple with sunset, Agu's assistant walked into the living room with an envelope. Sir, the test results. Silence fell. Agu's hands trembled slightly as he opened it. Sarah sat calmly, eyes closed, whispering a prayer beneath her breath. Then Agu gasped. He looked up at her, tears in his eyes. It's you. He handed her the paper. DNA match, 99.998% probability of maternity. Sarah smiled, eyes glistening. I told you, a mother always knows. He dropped to his knees before her, overwhelmed. Forgive me for all the birthdays you spent alone. She touched his face gently. You have nothing to apologize for. You survived. You became great. That's enough for me. It's not enough for me, he said. The world will know you. The world will honor you. That night, Agu took a photo of them together, his arm around her, both smiling. He posted it online with a simple caption. Found her, my mother, my miracle, my queen. The post went viral. Within hours, headlines across Nigeria screamed, Tech billionaire chief Agu reunites with mother after 39 years. She was eating from trash. Now she's the mother of a billionaire. Orphans no more. Agu's emotional journey comes full circle. But for Sarah, none of that mattered. What mattered was the warmth of her son's hand in hers, and the truth, no longer hidden, finally setting both of them free. A week after the DNA test confirmed the truth, Chief Agu made an announcement that sent shockwaves across the country. We are hosting a special celebration, not for business, not for politics, but to honor the woman who gave me life, lost me, and found me again. My mother, Sarah Naji. He booked the Grand Hall at Enugu International Conference Center, the same hall where presidents had spoken and world leaders had gathered. But this time, it wasn't for a global summit. It was for Mama Bridge. News stations buzzed with excitement. Who is Sarah Naji? From trash heap to throne. Chief Agu's mother to be honored in historic ceremony. Luxury buses were sent to pick up the elderly from every corner of Enugu, widows, orphans, street hawkers, anyone who had lived the life Sarah once lived. Agu didn't want only dignitaries in attendance. He wanted the people who understood her pain to witness her joy. On the day of the event, Sarah stood before a mirror in her dressing room. A soft blue lace gown hugged her frail figure. Her hair, once matted and unkempt, was now curled and styled like royalty. Gold earrings dangled gently from her ears, and a coral necklace rested on her chest. She turned to Agu. "Is this really me?" she asked, voice trembling. Agu nodded, eyes misty. "This is the version of you the world should have always seen. A queen, just hidden for a while." He extended his arm. "Shall we, Mama?" The moment they entered the hall, the crowd erupted in applause. Cameras flashed, phones went up, guests stood in ovation. Agu walked slowly, proudly, with Sarah beside him, his hand in hers, not as a billionaire, but as a son. The hall was decorated with giant portraits of Sarah, one of her smiling in her new dress, and beside it, a digitally restored image of her as a young woman holding baby Agu. Soft music played in the background, blending with the emotion filling the room. On stage, Agu stepped up to the microphone. The crowd quieted. He took a deep breath. "For years, the world knew me as an orphan, a boy who built a tech empire with no roots, no past. But today, I stand before you as a man made whole." He turned to Sarah, who sat regally on a special chair adorned with golden fabrics. "This woman, my mother, was found eating from a trash heap, yet carried herself with dignity. She endured hunger, shame, and decades of loneliness, but she never gave up. And now I present her to you not as a beggar, not as a forgotten soul, but as the woman who gave birth to me, raised me in spirit, and loved me even when the world told her I was gone." The hall erupted in cheers. From today, she will want for nothing. Her name will be honored in my company, in my foundation, and in my life forever. Ladies and gentlemen, meet Sarah Naji, the Queen Mother of Nova Tech. Tears streamed down Sarah's cheeks as she stood. The guests applauded for nearly 2 minutes. Some wept. Others clapped with all their strength. After the speeches, a documentary played on giant screens, telling Sarah's story, from the accident that separated them to the day Agu found her at the Dumpsite. Old friends, nurses from the orphanage, and street traders she once knew all gave testimonies. She used to hawk banana under hot sun. She never stole. She never begged. She just endured. Now see her, crowned by the same son they said had died. A gospel choir sang behind her. "From the dust you raised me, to glory you placed me. O Lord, you remembered me." Sarah lifted her hands, eyes closed in gratitude. Later, Agu stepped down from the stage and knelt before her in full view of the world. "Mama, for all the years I couldn't say it, I honor you, I cherish you, I love you." Sarah pulled him into an embrace. "My son, my miracle, my answered prayer." The event ended with dancing, laughter, and joy.